my question is, what is non-duality view on consciousness? Is there such a thing? And if not, who is then experience this world from Lisa's point of view?
Yeah, I don't know. That's quite a big question from perspective of non-duality. But we can just talk about what consciousness is. Consciousness is a very convenient word to be able to explain that there's no individual self experiencing this, but then ultimately there's no consciousness either. Consciousness too is just an idea that we're using to try and explain that this is all oneness or not two. And by saying it's consciousness, that makes it really explainable, because you can point out that everything's appearing in consciousness and you can never find consciousness. But you can't say that everything is consciousness, even like you can't say everything is beingness. It's just words that we're using to try and explain and communicate the oneness of everything. Consciousness more than likely is a functioning of the brain, which is no thing creates in order to experience the world. So you maybe could call like beingness, consciousness, a bridge between no thing and everything. But at the end of the day, you're never going to find consciousness, and you're never going to know who's experiencing this or what is. You're never going to see that, because all there ever is the experiencing of this. So you're never going to see what's experiencing this. Consciousness is just a word that we use in non-duality, or people use in non-duality, but it means nothing. To come and sit in the idea that it's all consciousness, and you know that, who knows that, and who watches from the perspective of consciousness? It's just a word that ultimately will get chopped off, an idea that ultimately non-dual speakers will dismiss. But sometimes it's easy to use consciousness or beingness. I use beingness quite a lot to be able to explain the impersonality of this. I mean, it's great to be able to say to someone, it makes it so easy to say, who sees the character? And then you say, it's consciousness that sees the character. See, it's not you that's experiencing as the character the world. It's consciousness. But then consciousness needs to get destroyed, because consciousness too is another idea. You never know who experiences this. That's the beauty of it. That's the excitement of it. But yet you are experiencing it, but not as a character, not as something that you can define.
I like to see this like the consciousness is your inside world, and there is the beingness, which is outside world, and they are interconnected with each other. So they kind of the same, but not really. So if you change something in your inside world, outside world also changes. Something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Also, I want to tell you my understanding about your aliveness term. I think it's really, really good example. So, do you agree that the nature of this beingness or aliveness that we experience is more like a verb and not a noun? So, comparing us with art, for example, we're not paintings, but we're the process of painting. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I stopped listening. Sorry.
I mean,
I have a question for you, though. Do you ask me this because you want me to validate you?
And no, I just want you to tell me that my understanding is all right, or it's wrong, or something like that.
You want me to tell you it's all right or it's wrong? Well, every understanding isn't it. There is this beingness that's here right now, and it's always free, and it relies on no concept to be. It needs nothing.
But when we talk about non-duality, we want to grasp it. We want to grasp this concept.
Yeah.
So we need to have understanding or not to have understanding.
You don't need to have understanding. Understanding comes and goes. A stupid person can get this. My dog's absolutely free. This isn't for the clever.
This dog does not know that he is free. It's just free.
It's just free, yeah.
But I want to know that I am free.
You'll
That's
never
the
know
difference.
that.
So
That's something that will come and go in thought.
the mind is trying to understand this beingness. That's what's happening.
Yeah. You'll never get there. Your beingness is free. It's right here, right now. You'll never get there in the intellect.
But if I never get this, then what's the point with all these talkings and...
Well, there's two answers to that. The point to it, well, maybe 3 or 4 actually. The point to it is there's never any point to anything. It's just happening. It's just words are appearing now. But what happens, the end of suffering is when you dissolve, which has nothing to do with an intellectual concept. Intellectual concept might have been listened to before, but it's not about an intellectual concept. It's the changeover from being a narrow person that exists in time and understands things to that aliveness that's there right now, that beingness that's always been there when you were 1, 2, 3, 4, happy, sad, angry, when you had a broken arm, when you forgot things, when you woke up in the morning, just before you went to sleep. And that's got nothing to do with intellectual understanding. Intellectual understanding arises and moves through beingness. Intellectual understanding is an experience. It's not the experiencer. Most people confuse intellectual understanding and what they think to be an experiencer.
Your beingness is the same with my beingness.
Yeah.
It is the same beingness, or it's have the same nature.
Yeah.
Yes, like the same beingness, or yes, it's like the same nature of beingness.
I don't understand the definition of the difference, but it's the same beingness, I will say in my language.
Okay, so Lisa is me.
Who are you?
And who are Lisa?
No, you've got to answer your question first.
I am what is experiencing what I experience, my world. And in this world there is Lisa, but I cannot experience the world how Lisa experiences it.
So who experiences the world?
I.
Who's I?
Just I.
Just I. Does I feel like anything?
It feels like beingness, you say.
Oh, and what does beingness feel like?
Just energy.
And how does beingness know that it experiences?
I can see changes around me. I mean, everything changes. I see the change of things.
And how does it know the change of things?
Because it sees forms changing.
And how does it know that?
It doesn't know, it just sees it, experience it.
The experiences, right? Yeah.
But forms that I see, they are different from your forms.
Is that the experience now?
So I just think that maybe we have different beingness.
A thought appears in beingness saying there is somebody there that experiences something. So there's already a cage on beingness. There's somebody there that experiences something. So there's one cage. Then it projects another cage onto Lisa and imagines that she experiences something different. 2 cages.
But I cannot prove or disprove this.
What?
That Lisa experienced or not experienced something else.
The only thing that's ever known is beingness. Or it's not ever known, nobody could know beingness. All there ever is beingness. That's it, full stop. Then everything else is debatable. Everything else changes and comes and goes. And anything that's known about anything that comes and goes is just a thought which is fleeting.
But also I can...
This is pure innocence. You're going to be left like an ignorant pig an ignorant dog, an ignorant mouse. You're no longer to be able to sit on a perch of the intellect.
Why then I was not born like a dog? Why I have these thoughts?
Because that's the experience life wants to have.
This is strange.
Isn't it? It's really strange. But then that thought disappears, and then we're just left drunk, just immersed in experiencing again. And it's not strange or not strange. Then the thought comes up and goes, whoa, this is strange. And then it goes.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Nice to speak with you again.
Bye.
Bye.